Hello, it's Oren Prunken. And last time we talked, I gave you a pretty brief and high-level overview of my story. And I wanted to take the opportunity to kind of delve a little bit deeper into that and kind of start off with some of my motivations. So when I was a kid, and like all kids, probably exactly like you, I was into stuff. The things that were really interesting to me were music and sport, and particularly in the former of music, I really got into the band Nirvana, and this is, in the early 1990s. And my friend Steven that I went to school with, I'm not even sure if he remembers this, but he got me into Nirvana. He ended up buying the album On the Muddy Banks of the Wishkah, and what an epic album it was. And he would always, bring it in. We used to listen to it on CD Walkman. So back in the day, you'd plug in the single CD, and listen to it. And that was the album we just listened to over and over again. It was like an awesome album. It got me really into Nirvana, but also into the enjoyment of music. And part of that enjoyment of music, I was really into the drums. I really got into rhythm and percussion. And because I was such a young kid, I obviously wanted to go out and buy a drum kit so I could practice. And because I didn't have much money, and my parents only gave me pocket money for chores that I did, it was only because I did chores, and if I didn't do chores, I didn't get pocket money. I just had no money. And I don't know if it was a case that they had no money, but I just didn't have any. And I distinctly recall getting old buckets and paint tins and sitting in a garage, and I had enough money at the time to get drumsticks, and I'd play along on these tubs and paint cans. And it's funny because drum kits had their nickname of the tubs, and I still just really wanted to buy a drum kit. The other passion for me was sport, and I really got into ice hockey, and I watched the movie The Mighty Ducks. Disney movie. I'm sure tons and tons of you have seen it, but that really inspired me to get into ice hockey. That story alone was what was the catalyst for getting me into ice hockey. And when you fast forward, like 25 years from those two points in time, I'm still doing both of those things. I still play drums, I still listen to music, I still play ice hockey. But with ice hockey, just like music, is a really expensive sport. Incredibly expensive, and I had to buy a lot of my gear secondhand. And the other thing about ice hockey was, at the time when I was playing as a kid, the kids leagues were played on weekends, so Saturday mornings. And I remember having to get up at like 5 in the morning, and my mum taking me in the car to drop me off. And not only that was that a toll on me, that was a toll on her. And after a couple years of that, she said that it was something that she wasn't prepared to do anymore. So I had to obviously save up and buy a car, and you can only get your license when you're 16 in South Australia, and this is many years before that. And you can only get a job in South Australia at 14 3/4. And I was obviously far younger than that, so there were only really two ways I knew of how to go about and get money for all of those things I was into, and that was either to start a business or get a job. But I was too young to get a job, so the only other alternative for me was to go start a business and sell product to people, and that's exactly what I did. I'll probably go into all of the early businesses and early jobs I had at some other point, but as I said in this episode, I just really wanted to talk about my motivations for getting into all of this stuff. So I really wanted money, and money was kind of that key to get anything and everything that I wanted. And if you follow like the logical sequence, start a business or you get a job, you've got to go sell product to someone. And when you sell product to someone, you make some revenue, and if you deliver on that promise and you actually, give them the product and all of the promises that you gave them, there's going to be some costs. And when you take those costs away from the revenue, you're left with some profit. And that profit is that tool that you can then go use to do whatever you want with. And as I said, I had some stuff that I was really into, ice hockey and music, particularly drums. So I was able to go do those things. And obviously, you've got all the things that you want to do, and they're going to be different. So the content's going to be different, but the context is obviously the same. So and it wasn't at the time, as a young kid that I articulated this, but over many years, when I was looking at this, what I was actually trying to do was just get freedom. Obviously, I didn't articulate it that way, and it's only now that I've been able to really think about it in those sort of terms. But it was freedom of time and freedom of attention and freedom of effort and freedom of money to go do the things that I really wanted to do. Everything built back from that. So when you kind of look at it, and I get this all the time from people, they're like, I need more prospects, I need more customers, I need more leads, and I need more sales. And when you go through and do an analysis of the whys behind that, it always leads back to that freedom. Why do you need more leads? Because you need more sales. Why do you need more sales? Because you want to generate revenue. Why do you want more revenue? So you can make a profit. But why is it that you actually want profit? What are you going to do with that surplus that is left over? And usually there are alternative things that people want to do, and it all revolves around being free from time, effort, labor within your business, that you are freed up to go do those things, whatever it may be. So hopefully that gives you a bit of insight of where my motivations came from, but more importantly, not because it's not going to necessarily relate exactly to what you're doing, where those motivations came from. But if you can see those motivations in you, whether it was back as a kid or right now, of what your journey may entail, of why you want to go get there. What are those motivations for you to lead along this path of going out and marketing and selling and trying to get more prospects and more customers and getting more leads and more sales? What is it behind that is the motivator for you? And there is going to be one, and I suspect it's probably around what I talked about, around freedom. And everyone's got their own ways to get there, and their own different alternatives of what freedom can do for them and the world. But yeah, I really wanted you to think about what those motivations are for you. And I think the next time I record this, I'm going to go into the hard ways of going about getting more prospects and customers, and the hard ways about going and getting more leads and more sales, because I've been there and I've done that, and I've spent almost 2 decades trying to perfect it. So I think the next time we touch base, I'm going to go through the hard way to do all this stuff. And until then, I hope this was useful. Let me know what you think, what it looks like for you, why you're motivated and what your desires are, and I'd love to hear from you. But until next time, take care. Thanks for listening, and if you like what was on here and want more, please go to orenprunken.com.